Hey, this is Rachel. Thanks for watching this short video on planning for a flipped lesson. I'm going to just talk about a few things we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were talking about best practices for instruction. So here's our objective today. I can use best practices to plan for effective instruction. So we're just going to take some lessons we already have and we're going to change them just a little bit so that they can be used to flip our classrooms. All right, here is a reminder of what those best practices for instruction are. We always want to start with backward design, and then we're going to go ahead and figure out what is our direct instruction going to be, how will we collaborate with our students, how will we check for understanding, and how often and how much are we going to collect feedback. And then here is that backward design model. So we always want to start with those learning targets, thinking about the Common Core standards and what our big units are going to be. Then I'm going to go ahead and design an assessment for that unit. That's going to become the very first thing that I do before I even think about the unit is, okay, how can I design that assessment to match that learning target? And then I'm going to go ahead and design my unit. I'm going to show you an example of a unit here in just a minute. And then after I've designed the unit, my lesson planning for each day becomes a whole bunch easier. All right, so here is the learning target for this model lesson that I'm showing you today. This comes from the Common Core. It's a grade 5 literacy ELA standard. And so this one is writing narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, descriptive details, and a clear event sequence. This would be my overarching objective for the entire unit. Next, I'm going to go ahead and look at designing that assessment. And so I've talked about this a moment ago. The very first thing I'm going to do after I know my standard is I'm going to go ahead and say, what is the assessment going to be for this piece? And often I will use a rubric to assess the writing pieces. And so this is something I would actually go over with my students so that they know what to expect and there are no surprises. After I have designed the unit or the assessment, I'm going to go ahead and start thinking about my unit now. Now, the reason I chose this one is I have a couple of homeschool students I've been working with, and they wrote a personal narrative for a magazine that I work for. And so I was able to go and visit them and work with them, and these were the lessons that we did a few of these together. Now, this is the same I've done in my classroom. And so all I've done here is I've taken a normal unit that I would do in my classroom, and I've gone through to see where can I create some asynchronous parts of this lesson, meaning can I create a video for this piece? Is it direct instruction? And how can I deliver that so that I'm using the best time with my students possible? So I'm using my time wisely with my students, meaning that they are actively participating with me on something when we're together. So the example I'm going to show you here in just a moment is a lesson plan using this day 3. I've got the objective, the warm-up, what the mini lesson is, and what the recorded part is going to be, and what the live part is going to be, and then also what the exit ticket is going to be. So I like to see my whole unit lined out like this, and then I will go ahead and say, okay, now what does every day look like? So here is that blended learning planner that I shared with you a few weeks ago. I'm sure you have a lesson planning model that you really like. This one I think is very easy to use because I can go ahead and find, okay, what's my mini lesson going to be, and am I going to go ahead and record that? That's the I do. And then also I've got the we do is that we're going to read a book together, and then the students are going to go ahead and set up their writer's notebooks, and then I also have my exit ticket here. And then, this is just a really nice way to break it up into little pieces where I can see it all and I can see what my next parts are. And so the next parts of this lesson are me to just go ahead and prepare the materials. And one of the materials is that I need to go ahead and record a video, or if I'm going to just get some materials prepared for our live meeting. But here is the question I have for you today. What are the two types of people in the morning? You're going to need to answer this question for us in our meeting today. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video, but you don't need the sound, so don't worry.